there viewers, welcome back and thanks for still staying tuned to Market Fatafat. Now with me, Vinny Motiwala is joining me on the show and well, let's introduce our technical guest for this segment of the show, and that is Foram M.Chheda of Chart Analytics. Foram, thanks so much for taking the time and joining us today. I'm going to come to you for your technical take on Mishra Dhatu. What are the levels that you're spotting on this stock and where do you see the stock headed now?
Thank you for having me on the show. Well, to begin with, on Medani, I would say that it's actually the stock price had formed a peak at around 547 levels in the month of Feb, and post that we've seen a good decline of nearly around 36%. Now, from there, the stock has been forming a very good base formation near around 345 levels. But it is just below the 200-day moving average. However, now in the past few trading sessions, we've seen the stock price seeing a good rebound by another 20% from its base price. And now you can see a bit of a very narrow consolidation between around 410 to around closer to 425. Overall, since the stock price is seeing a bit of a momentum back again, it has been backed by a very good increase in volume, and along with that, like parabolic SAR as an indicator is indicating a buy move. So overall, it's a buy in the stock between a range of 400 to 410. One can maintain a stop loss below the levels of 389, which is just below the 200-day moving average. And the target price is expected closer to around 480.
That's what we're keeping an eye out on in terms of Medani and the levels over there. But let's talk about GM Breweries. That's the one in focus as well. Earnings season is here, Snehi. Right. We don't have to worry about getting stocks now at least. Yes. So yes, keeping an eye out on that. GM Brewery is not a great set of numbers that's come in from this Alcobev company. Look at the stock tanked as much as 3.5 to 4% intraday in trade, and because of the numbers that we saw coming in, that was a disappointment. Overall, look at it for the Jan to March quarter, the operating margins of the company contracted to around 15.8% from 20.1% a year ago. So sharp contraction in terms of the margins of the company. Clearly, some pressure is coming in on the operating performances as well as overall, I beg your pardon. Overall, when you're looking at it in terms of the net profit of the company, that came in at 87 crores versus around 35 crores a year ago. So that saw a bit of a rise. Revenues of the company saw a marginal increase of around 2.1% on a year-on-year basis, but margins, that contraction in margins, the pressure coming in on the margins, I think that's the main reason that we're seeing a fall in the stock price. Other than that, obviously they proposed and recommended a bonus share as well, which was in recommendation of around 1:4 ratio. So that's what we're keeping an eye out on, as well as a dividend of ₹7 per share. That's fine, but yes, numbers not that great on the operational front was a disappointment, and that's why the stock is down for.
All right, that stock not doing pretty well for itself in an otherwise, overall better market. But Gaurav, let's talk about Venus Pipes. Why has this stock made it to your radar? I believe it's on the back of a brokerage note.
Yes, Venus Pipe is on my list because if you look at Ambit Capital now, they are being bullish on the company. They have initiated rating with a buy rating and a target price of 2,648 rupees on this stock. So what they believe is that basically if you look at the execution of the company, it is ahead of the expectations because they have now added new capacities for the company. And at the same time, they also believe that there are certain tailwinds which are actually in place for the company, which will help the company to deliver PAT CAGR of almost 36% from here on over the next 3 years. Now talking about the stock performance, also we have seen the stock was up almost 2% in today's trade. It hit its 52 weeks high levels as well, and given that the target price is at 2,648 rupees, we may see further rally of more than 30% from the current level also. And if you look at the stock performance in the year to date as well, in the 2024 itself, the stock has given returns of almost 30% to the investors. So definitely one stock which definitely investors should keep an eye on, because there is huge potential left as per Ambit's report, because they have now initiated with buy rating and a price of 2,648 rupees per share.
Well, let's get to move on and talk about another stock that's a stock in fact that's doing very well for itself in today's trading session, and that is Som Distilleries. That company has achieved its highest ever sales in a month since entering Karnataka in terms of beer sales. If you take a look at the stock is up almost 6% as we speak. And remember, on Tuesday, the board of Som Distilleries and Breweries are also approved a stock split in the ratio of 5:2. This means that the share face value of 5 rupees would be split into shares having face value of 2 rupees each. Now, this is the second instance of the stock split by the company. Previously, the company had also split its stock from 10 rupees to rupees in October of 2020. Now, the company mentioned increasing retail investors' participation and shares liquidity as the rationale behind the stock split. But yes, today the company is largely in focus on the back of the sales that it has logged in Karnataka when it comes to beer, particularly, and the stock is pretty well for itself, up 6%.
Absolutely. I think there's a sudden spike up. Was there like a sudden spike up in sales of Karnataka?
Well,
seeing a spike up in the
sharp
stock as
spike
well.
up coming in towards right now also, absolutely.
I beg your pardon. But let's move on and talk about Indian Energy Exchange then. Anshan, and why have you picked this one for us? What's the stock doing right now?
Right, so the stock was actually up by 3%. Now it's sustaining 1% in green. Now the company has actually achieved 110 BU, that's billion units in FY24, registering an increase of 13.8% on year-on-year basis. Additionally, 75.39 lakh RECs, that's renewable energy certificates, were traded during financial year 24. Also, the traded volume has increased by 26% on year-on-year basis. But during quarter 4 FY24, company has achieved 30.1 billion units volume across all segments, registering an increase of over 15% on year-on-year basis. And for the month of March, IEX achieved 9.8 billion units overall volume, marking a 6.2% increase on year-on-year basis. Also, if we see the chart, the stock has been advancing for 5th consecutive session now, but it seems taking resistance around 100 DMA level.
Keeping an eye on IEX, let's move on, talk about Lokesh Machines. It's a very small market cap company, around 800 crore market cap. But why we picked up this one today is because they've gotten a license for commencement of commercial production for manufacturing of proof test sales of firearms. When I'm looking at the notification, the licensing authority, that is the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India as well as New Delhi, has been something where they've gotten the approval for and this is a license for these firearm proof testing of firearms. So keeping an eye out on this one, today we saw a sharp spike up after this announcement came in for Lokesh Machines. Keeping an eye out on this one, stock trading with gains of almost 8%.
Alright, let's get to move on then. And Forum, talk to us about Can Homes. You've picked out this stock for us today. Rather flat moves when it comes to year-to-date basis. Even on a 6-month basis, the stock has not done much, roughly 5% gain. So what are you spotting for this stock? Are you seeing any upside over here?
Yeah, from the current levels, from a trading perspective, or I would say more like a professional trade. Now, overall, technically, along with all the other mid-caps, the stock has also seen a decent correction of around 14% in the past 2 months. Now, from 860 to 700 levels has been a very steep fall, and in fact the pattern also changed in this price was forming lower tops and lower bottoms. Now we are seeing a bit of a V-shaped recovery in this stock, and the stock has now started moving above the multiple moving averages of 50, 100 and 200. Now since it surpassed those levels, and when this price action happened, there was a decent increase in volume. Now since today also when we look at the stock, it's at around 811, which is marginally 8.2% up in the green. So even current levels seem to be a good decent level to buy from a risk reward perspective. And one can look at maintaining a stop loss below 770 and look for a higher target of closer to around 840 and then 860. 860 becomes the previous high, which may act like a resistance.
Okay, surely keeping an eye out on Can Homes then. Let's move on. Next stock and Gaurav, RBL Bank. Why is that one in focus today?
RBL Bank is in focus because they have now come up with the 4Q updates, and if you look at the 4Q updates, they were pretty strong for the bank. So talking about advances, they grew almost by 18.2% on a YY basis. Talking about deposits now, they grew almost at 21.9%, and even if you look at the sequential growth, the growth was registered at 11.5% on a quarter-on-quarter basis, and the growth of advances and deposits is fairly in line with the management expectation to keep the somewhere near 20% levels. And again, if we also talk about the CASA ratio saw an improvement of 140 bips on a quarter-on-quarter basis. Now it's to 35.2%, and given on this strong update from Q4 FY24, we saw the bank's share price shown some kind of recovery in the day state, but now it has come down again to 1% gains. But still, given that the performance for the bank has been muted for the last 6 months, and now that the strong performance has come from the bank's updates, we will definitely see how the bank's performance come up for the months ahead as well.
All right, Gaurav, thanks for that, and let's get to move on. Forum, I'm going to come to you for Crompton. You've picked out that stock for us. Even when I'm seeing the move on the last 6 months, the stock has not done anything. In fact, it has generated negative returns. So what are you penciling in for this stock now? Where do you think the stock is headed?
As you rightly said, it has given negative returns. Now, even if we talk about since the month of Jan, the stock price fell from 327 levels closer to around 260. That's nearly a decline of 20%. That has been a clear, I would say, a downtrend forming lower tops and lower bottoms. Now, however, it has formed a base at 250 levels and in the past, say, couple of trading sessions. But along with that, there has been exceptional increase in volume, which is making the stock look different and it's looking more positive. When we even add an indicator like RSI, which is also showing a bit of a positive divergence, that is also adding some bullishness to the stock. And since it is trading below the multiple moving averages, it may face some resistance at those levels, that is near 100 and 200. But at these levels, it looks safe to get it into the stock since it's trading at 280. A very small stop loss closer to a level of 274, and one can look for a higher target between 294 to around 300 levels. So the risk reward ratio is favorable, and hence I picked up this stock.
Alright, okay, let's get a move on from that and talk about a stock that's also doing pretty well in today's trading session. That's Vedanta, up almost 3.5% as we speak, Winnie. And this is on the back of two news flows. First, the board has announced that they've expanded the alumina refining capacity to 3.5 metric tons per annum. And the second is a Q4 update, as we have seen for other stocks in the show as well. Now the update says that Vedanta has delivered the highest ever annual volume across its key businesses. The total aluminium production is at 5.98 lakh tons for Q4, up 4% on a year-on-year basis. Mined zinc production is at 299 kilotons, which is also up 11% on a sequential basis, driven by a mix of improved mined metal grades and higher ore production across mines. Now, saleable silver, when we talk about what the company is doing on the silver front, saleable silver production is at 109 KT, which is also up 4% on a year-on-year basis. Now, Zinc International's total production is at 33 kilotons, lower by 20% sequentially and 47% on a year-on-year basis. That's a slight bit of a pressure point, but that is not reflecting on how the stock is performing right now. And also, it's key to note that the board is meeting today to mull fundraising plans. So, well, the stock is in focus for a whole host of reasons, but as of now, doing pretty well for itself, up 3.3% as we speak.
Let's move on to the next stock on the technicals, and Foram Pinolex Industries. You know, when you're looking at it, I'm just seeing the 1 year move. It's slowly and steadily surely moved up last 1 year, 50% uptick. But you know, there are bouts of that uptick we suddenly see and then a subduedness. So right now, that uptick that we are seeing, do we expect subduedness or a bit of a correction again?
I expect a correction, but I would say just probably a retracement, and this retracement can be considered as buying opportunities. Maybe one can even look at buying small quantities in maybe a phasing manner. So in fact, when we talk about it, technically this stock here in fact has been in a downward falling channel, and it made a breakout last month at closer to around 230 levels, and that triggered some upside momentum, which was backed by good increase in volume. Now it not only then this momentum, it also led to the breakout from its previous high of around these 248 levels, and it moved up higher. Now the stock price we've seen today, the stocks have been quite volatile today, and we've seen Nifty also being quite volatile. Along with that, this stock is now seeing a bit of a decline by around 2%, but it's just going and testing those levels back again closer to around 250, which makes the stock attractive to buy because it's been in the momentum. There is a good increase in volume. It's moving above multiple moving averages, and along with that is the overall trend. The trend continues to remain bullish, and thus I would say a buy at around 250 levels. One can maintain a stop loss below the levels of 243 and look for a high target of closer to around 280.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.